All right, this video is about how to create a working outline that will include a working thesis statement. The reason why I say working is because I believe that creating an outline, like you may have been taught in high school, that you have to follow strictly actually restricts your discovery process. So I'm very clear to call it always a working outline and a working thesis statement, because you will discover new things as you continue to write, just like you did in your free writing. So after you've done your free writing, read it over, and you'll think, oh, this is what I really want to know more about, or this is what I really want to say in my research paper. So you're going to create a working thesis statement and a working outline. So typically a thesis statement is going to include these things: the focus of the study, how your data was collected, or methodology. Maybe if you're just collecting data by reading books, you don't need to say, because of all these books that I've read, I think the following. You might not need that data collection, but some of you are doing interesting and creative data collection, and that might be worth mentioning in your thesis statement. Then you're going to make your claim, what you really think is the point of your paper, and then use keywords that are going to foreshadow the content and structure of the rest of the paper. So go ahead and read this section. This is on page 100 of the Writing and Music book. So take a look at that. And then I have a great thesis statement example, and this is by an actual student. So this is one that was looking at Mozart's forte piano and how it's different from a modern piano. So after his free writing, he discovered that the real differences that he wants to talk about are the range, texture, and timbre of the forte piano compared to a modern day piano. And he's going to look at one specific piece by Mozart. So he makes this great thesis statement that states what his methodology is. It's his own analysis that's, of course, supported by a research from lots of sources. But his analysis of this one piece, that's the focus of the study, or his topic. And then his claim. He suggests that the differences are most apparent in the keywords range, texture, and timbre. Now, you can look at another thesis statement example, and then look at this working outline that the student has created. So obviously, he's going to start with an introduction, and then one of the most important things that I'd like to stress is make each one of these points a question. It's going to be easier to write if you go through your paper just answering the questions in your working outline. So remember, he had the keywords highlighted. So the first section, or I highlighted the keywords in his working thesis statement for him. First section is going to really discuss Mozart's forte piano. What was it like? How was it constructed? Etc. And then he's going to look at his analysis of the Jeune Concerto by Mozart, specifically looking at the range, the texture, and the timbre in the piece. So it's a beautiful example of how that thesis statement it creates this beautiful outline, and each one of the points in the outline is a question. So as he starts to write, he can just start answering those questions in his working outline. Now, he may discover as he starts drafting the paper that he doesn't have enough evidence to talk about timbral differences, or the examples for texture are just not that compelling, and he may decide to change the outline based on what he discovers as he starts drafting the paper, and that is just fine. That's why it's called a working outline. I really urge you to pay close attention to this whole chapter, because there's a lot of information in here about how to use sources, what kinds of sources to use, how to object to sources, how to respond to sources, etc. So looking at these different ways to respond to evidence, maybe you're synthesizing evidence, maybe you're objecting to evidence, or maybe you're just discovering something new. Those are important ways to respond to your sources, and so please take a look at the information in this chapter, and I think you'll find it quite useful. And as always, let me know if you have any questions. All right, good luck.